مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. الله كبير. Again, we are here by God's grace, and God has given us another chance to improve ourselves and redeem ourselves and get closer to Him. So this is a huge blessing by God that we are gathered here and seeking His blessings and His approval, and do all of this for His honor and His pleasure. So this is a huge favor that God has bestowed upon us. Gratefulness and thankfulness is a godlike quality, and so we should follow His path, which is the straight path, and never deviate from that path of God. And so that's the only way that we can go back to Him and spend eternity with God, and that's the joy of paradise. Again, ungratefulness is a bad habit and something that God tells us not to be ungrateful, and only disbelieving people that are ungrateful to God, and people who believe in God alone are always grateful to Him for His provision and His kindness and His mercy. So today what I wanted to discuss is a few verses in chapter let's see, go ahead and mute everybody. So again, chapter 6, let's see, we go to godalone.com and chapter 6, verse 151. Okay, very good. Let's see here one more time. Okay. Okay. So God is telling us. He says, narrates to us that commanding His messenger, He says, "Say, come, let me tell you what your Lord has prohibited for you. That you never set up anything as a partner for Him, and you shall be good to your parents, and you shall not kill your children from the fear of poverty. We provide for you as well as them. And do not approach vice, be it public or private. And you shall not kill a soul, for God has made it sacred, except in the course of justice. He thus has decreed these commandments for you, that you may think." And then God continues here, and He says, "And say, and you shall not approach the fatherless money, except for what is honestly required until he reaches maturity. And you shall give an honest measure, and you shall be equitable. We do not burden any soul beyond her means, And when you are testifying, you shall be equitable, even against your own relatives. And be faithful to God's covenants. He does decrease these commandments for you, that you may take heed. Okay, so God is describing these things, but the most important thing that I want to emphasize here is the very first statement. The first statement is the first commandment, and God is abhorring setting up a partner for Him. So shirk is the most the highest crime that somebody could commit against God. And so that you never set up anything as a partner for Him. So this is something that we have to keep in mind. And this is really the foundation upon which this entire righteousness that people follow or should follow is based upon. And if we don't do that, if somebody practices shirk or setting up a partner for God, then that person will do anything which follows. That person is not going to be good to the parents. That person is going to commit abortion from the fear of poverty, although God says we provide for you as well as them. But now they say, well, Planned Parenthood. Like, you have to go and get all your degrees that you want to get, and then once in a while, if you want to have a child or something, then that's how you should plan it. And God says otherwise. So these are heavy messages that God is sending to people. But the thing is that it starts with having another God beside God. That God has partnered and is running a company. If we believe that way, then these things will all follow. We provide for you as well as them, and do not approach vice, be it public or private. Okay. And you shall not kill a soul, for God has made it sacred. So killing is nothing these days. People just kill each other, like flies. And they don't even care that they're killing somebody. I mean, we hear in the news, and so what is the foundation? What is wrong with the foundation? The foundation is that we have forgotten about God. That we are supposed to worship God alone. And if you don't do that, then all of these will follow. We are not going to have a happy society, a happy community. A community that has not made a decision to worship God alone. That community will never succeed. That community is going to make all kinds of vice and sins against God. Those people who are not worshiping God alone, they are going to fall into this trap. That life is not going to be a worthy life. It's going to be a life of misery. It's going to be a life of suffering. Okay? So when we see these things happening in the society, we should not be really surprised, because our foundation is not correct. Our foundation is the foundation upon which we are putting a system in place that actually allows for God to have partners. And if we do not mention those partners besides God's name, okay, somehow we are short of some kind of law that God has never approved. God never approved idol worship. God never approved setting up a partner for Him. God alone does things. God alone is the one who provides for us. Okay. Then he says, and you shall not kill a soul, for God has made it sacred. You see, here I took a step here that said, and you shall not kill your children from the fear of poverty. And then God says here, and you shall not kill a soul, for God has made it sacred except in the course of justice. And I said abortion about the other one, and I said here, because God repeats the same thing again here for killing a soul. Okay? So but he knows what the other one is, what the fear is. The fear is that somehow your planning for your parenthood is going to be destroyed. But that's not the case. We think that's the case. That's not the case. Because we provide for you. God provides for us as well as them. And do not approach vice. Okay? Abominations. Be it public or private. It doesn't make any difference. It makes no difference to God. And you shall not kill a soul, for God has made it sacred, except in the course of justice. He does decree these commandments for you that you may think. And these people who are not doing this, they're not thinking. And then they say, well, they have mental problems, mental issues and things like that. Why do they have mental issues? Because they are confused about God. They are not worshiping God alone. Their foundation is the wrong foundation. It's not the correct foundation. Okay. And God says here, he says, and this is indeed my path which is straight, hence you shall follow it. And do not follow other ways. Otherwise you will all deviate from his path. Okay. He thus decrees these commandments for you, that you may become reverent. Okay. God's path is straight path. No deviation. And we have to follow that. Okay? And then God says, we thus gave Moses the scripture, perfect in eloquence and details of everything and guidance and mercy, that they may believe in meeting the Lord. And this is a blessed book that we have revealed to you, therefore you shall follow it and fear God, so that you may attain mercy. Okay? So this was done because of what? Because some people complained, lest you may say that the scripture was revealed to the two other groups before us, and we were indeed unaware of their teachings. But the problem is, the same teachings were given in the Old Testament. Come, let me tell you this, thou shalt not have any other God before me. And thou shalt honor thy father and thy mother. And then when this was revealed, it said exactly the same thing in their own tongue, in their own mother tongue. And they rejected it. So the problem was not that. The problem was not a book that was revealed to the communities, to the other communities. That wasn't the problem. The problem was the unrighteous behavior and unrighteous acts and the idol worship that they were practicing was preventing them from doing this. That's why it was a heavy message. Okay? See how this whole thing falls into place. Okay? Because in these verses, what God is telling us, He's basically repeating the Ten Commandments. He says, thou shalt honest measure and you shall be equitable. Don't lie. Don't cheat. Be straightforward. Okay? And when you are testifying, you shall be equitable even against your own relatives. Okay? Do not bring false witness. So when these things came up and they were the same thing in their own tongue, they rejected it. And so we're still doing that. We're still rejecting the same things, with a foundation which is not a correct foundation. We try to do this based on this and this and the others, and say that blame it on this issue or that issue or that issue or that issue. Okay. We build instrument of killing. We let everybody have it. Okay. We'll give it to people who are idol worshippers, who have no respect for any of these commandments. They've rejected the foundation, which is worship God alone. They've rejected that. Then you think that they're not going to reject the rest of these commandments? Okay. I mean, we're dreaming. If we think that that's going to happen, we're dreaming. Okay? A group of people, hypocrisy is so rampant that you can't even, it makes your head spin. Okay. On one hand, they are saying that you shouldn't do abortion, which is correct. But on the other hand, they are saying, oh, well, you can sell guns to sick people and let them go ahead and kill everybody. That's fine. This incident that happened in this school in Texas. This catches a lot of headlines. There are a lot of individuals killing each other, and you never hear about it with guns. Okay? These are individuals who have no respect for human life. None whatsoever. Okay? Because they have no respect for God. They're idol worshippers, and that's what they're going to do. They are going to break God's commandments. It says that God decrees this. It says decrees these commandments for you. Okay, here. I'm just going to read it again. And be faithful to God's covenant. Okay? How can they be faithful to God's covenant if they are not even believing in God alone? Okay? He thus decrees these commandments for you that you may take heed. Okay? So, we don't take heed because our foundation is incorrect. And as I said, we don't hear about those other murders that goes on all the time, every day. 20, 30 people are being shot and killed every day in the United States, maybe more than that. I don't know what the statistics are. But they're huge. And then they call it like senseless killing. That's what they call it, senseless killing. Like there are sensible killings. Like some people, if they kill somebody, is sensible. Okay, so these are the type of things that have come out. Senseless killing. Okay, like if this guy had some issues, sensible issues, that he went and killed all these kids. Or the guy was shooting his friend. Or the guy who does drive-by shooting and killing some baby which is sleeping in the house. Okay? Is there a sensible killing? Okay. So they have sanitized these things. That yes, there are sensible killings. So we allow people to kill each other sensibly. They have sanitized these things. Okay, family planning, mother's health. Okay, all these issues come in. And the only issue that's not there is that these kids, they were killed, and for what reason? Okay? So stop the idol worship today, and your life is going to be changed for the better. And people see these things over and over and over again. 19 people attacked the two towers, the Twin Towers. 19 hijackers. This is just a coincidence. That's their answer. This is just a coincidence. But God was not aware of that. 19 kids were killed in this shooting incident. There were 19 policemen were outside, didn't go in the hallways. Okay? All of these are coincidences to them. And God is trying to tell them with these numbers, look, you're doing something wrong here. Don't do it. Stop. Okay? Go look at the statistics. See what we have done in these other countries. Okay? Freudian slip by our previous president, attacking Iraq instead of telling that Russia attacked Ukraine. Okay? 200,000 Iraqis were killed when we attacked Iraq. Okay? 3.1 million Vietnamese got killed when we attacked Vietnam. Okay? So do you think that all of those things are, why is it happening? Then leaders of idol worship, they keep going to these places as religious scholars and religious leaders. Okay, trying to even take them more into the doom and gloom. Okay. Isn't it time to realize that we are doing something wrong? Isn't that time for it? There shouldn't be a time for that? And quit the hypocrisy? So, we have a world which is run by hypocrites, basically. Okay? They lie, cheat, everything to stay in power. Okay? This is time for people to come and listen to this invitation that God has given us in the Quran, to worship Him alone and build on that foundation all of these other things that's part of righteous living. Leading a righteous life. Not to kill. Okay? When you testify, be honest. Don't lie. Be equitable. Don't be biased. But we don't, as I said, we are just going about our business as though nothing is going wrong. I mean, this is not life. I mean, this is getting worse. I've been in this country since 1971. In the 70s, I've never heard of school shooting. Never. In the 80s, we never. This is a new phenomenon. These mass shootings are a new phenomenon. All of these things, because what we've gone the other way. And when people come in there and they tell you things and people do not listen, okay? God sends messengers, and those messengers, they keep saying that worship God alone, and people do not listen. It circulates about the same small community. It never goes away from that, from those limits of that small community, as though we are doing everything right. So if we continue doing this, this is basically the sign of insanity, and that's what definition of insanity is. Okay? And insanity is that repeating the same thing and expecting a different result. Doesn't happen that way. We have to change our ways and go back to God. Do not turn our back to God. We have to worship Him alone. Do not set up any partner for God. Okay? Then all of those things will be easy for us to follow. We won't be facing things like mental illness that a lot of people are actually facing in this world. That they're confused. And the life that was given to them as a test is being wasted. Okay? So this is the situation we have. And we are not following the path of God. If we do that, if we worship God alone, today we decide to do that. Any person or any group of people decide today that I am going to start worshiping God alone. That person's life will change for the better immediately. Immediately. And that person would be in a position to lead a righteous life. Otherwise, that will never happen. And as I said, we go through a life which is given to us as a gift and a test to see if we do any better. Okay? Which one of us will do better? That's what chapter 67 says. So we can, as I said, we have to fix our foundation. And we have to do this. And as I said, if we don't do this, we are going to have more of these issues. The weapons maker are going to make those weapons. Well, these are military assault weapons. That's what they're saying. This AR stands for assault rifle. And they are meant for warfare. Okay? So basically, it's a rifle which is intended to kill efficiently. Okay? So that really completely nullifies thou shalt not kill. Okay? Completely, because as I said, the first commandment has been thrown out. So we commit those other things in there. And we kill millions of people, it's okay. But God forbid if the other side kills some people. Then immediately everybody is going to start complaining and whining and moaning that, oh, why this has happened. These are crime against humanity and this and that and the others. What do you think we have done? Okay. So we have to be very careful with these things. And as I said, if we don't have that foundation upon which this whole righteous life is going to rest, which is worshiping God alone, we are going to be in trouble. We are not going to be seeing a nice life. We're going to have a life of misery. We're going to have a life of sadness. We're going to have mental anguish. All those kind of things that people can go see a psychiatrist for. And pump themselves full of chemicals because somehow they say, the doctors, they say maybe this chemical is lacking inside your brain. So let's pump you with this chemical and see if you're going to get any better. Okay. I'm going to stop here and we'll finish this rakah. Allahul Kabir.